Hot rod? What hot rod? Just a home-built hot rod, done with what we have. This is all about having fun. Who cares how I do it? I think we'll continue on with this turd today. Last time we worked on this, we made some patch panels on the cowl here, and we coated these parts where they go together with Eastwood's rust encapsulator plus. That way the rust won't continue in those areas once we get this all put back together. I don't necessarily know how far we're taking this, how exactly it's going to look when we're done, but I have some ideas. We're definitely not doing a perfect paint job on this thing, I can tell you that. But I do want to keep the rust that started under control. So today I think we're going to continue that with the pieces back here. Then get those put back together, then maybe get this thing squared up and braced together. Then we can start getting this yard art piece of trash looking like a hot rod. Anywho, so when this thing was sitting in my yard for like 10 years, and then a basement bar, we just had these doors welded on, and this piece too. So now we're gonna have to cut those off. Oh yeah, we're doing suicide doors. Have to. I feel like we just took this apart and put it back together. We're okay. Got them black widows and brown widows and other spiders. We don't like those guys. That's an okay spider though. If that web was any stronger or stickier, I'd have to arm myself. Okay. Well, these two pieces must be spot welded together because I can't get them apart. Why did I have bolts in it? If it's spot welded together, why did I put bolts in it? Dumbass. If you can't just let go and have fun in the garage while you're doing this stuff, then why do it? This is all about having fun. We're here to do what we can with what we have and have a dang good time doing it. See all that rust in there? We got to get this apart so we can address that. Otherwise, it's not going to stop, no matter what we put on the outside. Even though we're not going for a perfect car here, we are going to try to at least slow down this cancer so this thing can last another 100 years. Or 20, whatever. At least we tried. Trying to expose those spot welds so we can drill them out. That's bad stuff. I don't want to breathe in all that rust. Ow! Safety first, kids. Or at least like my kid says, safety squint and cover your nuts. That's funny, guys, but don't do it. Really, we gotta be safe. Because you know what? We can't have fun out here if we ain't got no eyeballs. I was just making a mess of that. But you know what's not gonna make a mess of that? This Mac Tools air hammer. What? Neighbors aren't gonna like it though, so I closed the garage doors. Well, that didn't exactly not make a mess of it, but it was way quicker. Next. Whew. So they came apart. Those 3 panels over there, they turned out okay. I can hammer and dolly those back straight and use them. This side over here, which is our most rotten side, there wasn't a whole lot left there to begin with. And what is there now, we totally bent up and destroyed. So I'm not super happy about having to do this, but we gotta do what we gotta do. We're gonna have to replace this whole lip on this side. Well, this one lower panel here anyway. But before I do that, I'm actually gonna search around to see if I can find one and just replace this whole lower quarter, because this is our most rotten panel out of this whole car. Passenger side lower quarter panel for a 2829 Model A 2-door sedan. I need one. If you got one, let me know. We're just gonna set this one aside for now and move on with those other pieces. So this piece of trim that goes between the rear quarters and this rear section, a lot of people just get rid of that and weld the two together. I wanted to keep it because I want to keep this kind of looking OEM sort of as much as possible. But honestly, I don't know if it's going to survive taking it off, cleaning it up, and putting it back together. This spot welded on this panel like those other ones were. It's just going to be a mess by the time I get it off. I think what I'm going to do with this one is just get that off and search around to see if I can find a good one or a reproduction. If I can't get new ones, I'll just weld them together and shave that seam like a lot of other people do. And you know what? It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't necessarily fit the idea I have with this car. But that's part of working with what you got on a budget. You just gotta adapt. Do what we can. It's all rotten anyway. This is why we can't just leave it. That's 3 layers of sheet metal just rusting in between. No matter what we do with the rest of it, it's gonna continue to do that. When this thing is all done, it might just be in a black epoxy primer, and we might not care if nature takes over again, but we wanna start fresh. Well, to say that wasn't going to survive was an understatement. I'm going to look for new ones, but I'm not going to look too hard. Well, this one came out better than the other one, but I wouldn't say it survived. What a hot rod. This piece down here, we're gonna have to replace that. We could just straighten that thing out, but it's really just a piece of 1/2-inch flat stock or strap or whatever you want to call it. We'll just replace it. So I set out to just do the edges where the pieces come together. But like always, I got carried away, did the whole inside. And myself. But that's okay, because I was going to do the whole inside anyway. But I figured I'd do it after it was all put together, and I'd spray it on. Oh well. So yesterday we got all these edges coated with Eastwood's Rust Encapsulator Plus. We also did the inside of the panels. This passenger lower quarter though, just in case we use it, I did the edges that are still good. And for some reason this one too, that doesn't really exist. Just get carried away with the paintbrush sometimes, I guess. But I actually don't know what we're gonna do with this panel. Now I know that this area here, we can get a patch panel for sure. Maybe the whole lower section, I don't know. But there's literally like 2.5 inches missing out of this thing. No patch panels that you can get for this thing are cheap. And it's really easy to blow past our budget of $0. Yeah, $0. But you know what, guys? There's so many people that have something like this and they won't get started on it because they're worried about the budget or they don't have any parts. But let me tell you, always something you can do for free or dang near close. You just gotta get started. Get that momentum going. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna replace that top lip on this. Cut a strip out of this sheet metal, put it in the shrinker over there to get that curve. Weld her on this one. I mean, seriously, what do we got to lose? We can completely destroy this panel. It ain't gonna be any worse than it already is. As far as the bottom, we'll figure that out later. I mean, if I wasn't doing this car, what would happen to it? Nothing. It would rot away to the ground. So seriously, who cares how I do it? It's a whole lot easier than using a cutoff wheel for that, I tell you what. Getting closer, a little bit at a time. So I decided to make this 2 pieces because I was sick of bringing that big long one over here. I got the long straight part tacked in here on the inside. Now I'm just worried about this curve here, and I'm just using this short one. It's a lot more manageable now. We got that welded up all solid and grind it down with the die grinder, and we'll coat that new flange with an epoxy primer and probably just some spray paint. Something so it doesn't rust any faster than anything else. Then we can get all these pieces put back together. Well, that was weird. Hot rod? What hot rod? I just see a mess of parts. Rusty pieces of metal. We're on our way to getting this thing put back together so it at least kind of looks like a car again. So yeah, hot rod. The amount of wildlife that just comes alive after a rainstorm in my neighborhood is just cool. I like it. So I got these two pieces clamped together. This one down here is that super rotten one we put the new flange on. Got the ends all nice and flush. I think we'll go down the line here, spot welding it back together. That's good enough for now, especially since we don't know if we're even keeping that piece. Don't! Just stuck a couple bolts in there loosely to kind of hold it together. This other side, I think we'll do it different. I think we'll do the lower quarter, put it on the rear, and then put the upper quarter on top of all of it. Then we don't got to wrestle around with that big piece. This will all be welded together eventually, but for now it's nice that we could just put bolts in it. Quick, easy, can come apart and get moved around. So there's that. I think next I want to square this rear section up, brace it in the position that it's all supposed to be in, and then maybe build some B-pillars. I think some cheap conduit would be just fine to brace that up. I only got this piece though. Well, I'm gonna run to Home Desperation and pick up some conduit. If you guys want to see more of this yard art hot rod here, here's a playlist.